Hello, and welcome to the next talk about the university course that we have recently launched. My name is Kirill Krylov, and I am a technical trainer with the Academy. And today I have a pleasure to speaking to you and telling you about the course and how it's going to be structured, what benefits you might derive from it, and how to build your own course on our platform. Okay, so on today's agenda is we're going to talk a little bit about Creatio. We're going to talk a little bit about digital transformation, perhaps some topics related to the university program, and as we see how we think it will fit the university program. We're going to take a look quickly into a live demo of what our product is all about, since some of you may have never seen it. We will also discuss some topics, how we can become a university program member, and then hopefully I will be able to address all your Q&A questions. So let's start off by introducing who we are and who the Academy is. So Academy is a group of young and very passionate people who work around Creatio product. We work for Creatio company internally, and we provide all the documentation, e-learning material, video tutorials, and things that go around our product. We also offer certain certifications, certain validation of your knowledge, and we usually do some in-class trainings as well when necessary. Okay, so why do we even build this course? Well, we build this course because we as the company truly believe that the world accelerates and there are new things that, or there's a new way of doing things, and we as the company or as the students who are becoming professional, who are graduating, who are going through their paces in university right now, they need to be better prepared for a professional world. So what is digital transformation? Why is it happening? Betting on the future. So what are the things here? So digital transformation is essentially where we take the old way of doing things and we're transforming it into a digital reality. So for example, in the past, if we were in accounting or finance, we would do everything on paper. Now there is almost no paper, and it's actually a bad tone to have anything on paper these days. Now, why is it happening to me? Well, because it's inevitable. Everything is going through transformation. You will just look around you and you will see less and less things that are physical, and you have more and more virtual presence. You experience virtual presence from universities and colleges. We experience virtual presence from a large organization. Even the places that are not expected to have any virtual presence, they also try to make themselves available in this virtual reality. So if we're going to be looking into the future and we're going to try to look at the and try to predict what's going to happen, I mean, at this point, we see no other way but to bet on the digital transformation. We realize that everything that's going to be happening in the future is going to be centered around digital stuff, everything around computers. Our communication is becoming more digital. I mean, we're not replacing, there is no replacement for personal, in-person connection and personal touch, but those connections are going to be reserved for something very special, and the business-related stuff, education-related communications are all transforming into a digital realm. So if we're talking about our vision or our mission statement, our vision statement, it's hard to imagine a sustainable business that can operate for many years, that has a good succession strategy without a strong business strategy, without a strategy that involves digital transformation. We look at any company and we can take a look at the oldest, let's say at the Bay Company, and then we can look at the startups, and they're all centered around digital. So what are the solutions and why are we doing all this stuff? Well, we're doing this because we want to reduce dependencies. In the previous generation, maybe 10 years, maybe 50 years, it was common to hire somebody from a new graduate from school, and then that graduate would basically progress or develop their career in the organization. Think of the blue suits and the IBM. You start off as an intern, and then eventually you graduate to a C-level executive within the company, but those days are gone. Unfortunately, these days we are living in the shared economy, And we as the company, we need to, or we as the businesses, we recognize that we need to reduce dependencies on these professional people. It is only a few places in the world that offer tenure still. Most of the places do not do that simply because the requirements are so unpredictable. We as the company believe that if we take what's in people's minds and put it into the digital realm, then we will be able to better protect the company from what's coming in the future. Just imagine a case where perhaps you have one of your professionals, one of your executives, a key person in the organization, all of a sudden choosing not to show up to work for whatever reasons. Maybe he or she won the lottery, maybe something bad happened to the person, whatever the case might be. What's going to happen to a business? Well, the business will suffer. And many organizations have recognized that this suffering, they need to somehow isolate themselves and reduce dependency on hard to acquire skills. So what are the skills that are hard to acquire? Well, those are the skills that people or students or young professionals getting from university. If you spend 4 or 5 years studying for accounting and then you go to work and then you spend another 5 years working for an organization, getting your letters or whatever the case might be, and then all of a sudden you choose to leave, well, obviously the company is going to lose a fantastic resource. So we need to reduce this dependency. So what is basically the end game of our low-code platform? The end game of our low-code platform is that we want to make sure that any organization with a little bit of a technical acumen can take already existing business processes. Perhaps they're documented or they may not be documented. In many cases, actually, they're not documented, and document them in a way or describe them in a way that we can put them into some sort of a digital platform. So this is our end game. So we want to take what businesses already doing and simply transform it into what computers can help us with. Now, the advantages are numerous here. For example, one of the advantages is if one person leaves the organization, the rest of the company is not suffering. If we need to if we need to onboard another employee, it's easier for us to onboard someone if we have a well-documented process. Now, there are many types of processes. Some of them are just descriptive, and some of them can actually do things. Now, the descriptive processes is what usually you study in the management courses, management 101 or 202, whatever the case might be. You will learn about, or you guys teach about, how perhaps successful organizations operate. We'll look at the structure. And that's all fantastic, but it's not really helping us execute those processes. So when we're talking about low-code applications, we can address both concerns. We can document the processes and simply have a diagram, simply have something that people can take a look and understand what needs to happen. Or we can have a little bit more sophisticated setup where these processes or flows or diagrams, they're actually doing things. There is an underlying business logic that sits behind every pictogram on the screen and executing certain code. So let's now compare what the computer systems were in the past. In the past, if we're going to go maybe 50 or 60 years ago, and I'm not going down to Turing times, I'm just saying even in 2000s, we had a lot of code, highly skilled people wrote that code, and then it was quite difficult to maintain. It was difficult to maintain because the developers have left the company and the new ones came on board, or it was difficult to maintain simply because there wasn't enough developers to develop everything that we need. According to certain forecasts, the amount of developers in the world will keep on growing exponentially for the next foreseeable future. So our take on this problem is to create a tool or many tools or set of tools, as we call a platform, to empower people who are otherwise not developers. Now, who are these peoples? Well, these people are just business folks, people who understand the business processes. It could be someone in accounting who understands how to do an audit, or it could be somebody in HR who understands how to do an interview. All these guys, they have a tremendous amount of experience doing their business or delivering business core values, but they may not be developers. So our idea is to go from many lines of code to something like this, where you have visual tools, excuse me, we have tools you have pictograms, and you have a very logical and reasonable flow that anyone with any degree of technical acumen can immediately understand. So for example, at the bottom picture, you could see that there is a green circle usually indicating a start of something. It's very obvious to most of the people. Then there is something with the clock, and it tells us that we're going to wait for 1 second. And this is just a diagram. There's obviously some notations that we need to be familiar with. But at the end of the day, everything that we express, we're expressing in arrows and boxes and circles and diagrams and red dots and things of that nature. And it's a lot easier to understand this compared to maybe some code that was written in a very low language. So low code, when implemented correctly, allows us to simplify and accelerate business idea. Low code is fantastic for prototyping. For example, what I mean by prototyping, normally within the business processes, we don't prototype. Well, in fact, we actually do. And if we look at the management theories, we will see that we want to deploy A and B tests. We want to see which department is going to perform. Perhaps we want to change the organizational structure, but we don't know how. Well, having a tool that allows us to quickly adapt, to quickly change things on the dime will certainly accelerate our business ideas. Now, in this case, the business idea, I'm not talking about the product we sell, but I'm talking about the internal structure of an organization. Think back to, let's say, a school that you work for or any other organization that you're familiar with. What if you could, on a dime, just change a couple of departments, run them in parallel, and compare which one is doing better for the similar task? Not many companies can brag about it. So why low code, and where is this whole low code notion, and where is it coming from? Well, there are many researchers, and one of them, namely Gartner, predicts that by 2024, which is only a few years from now, 65% of new software will be created with the help of low code tools. So what are these low code tools? How do we acquire necessary skills? How do we build them? Is there a different mentality? Is there a different mindset? Are there different laws in place? That's what we're going to talk about. So the key factors that are responsible, let's talk about the key factors that are responsible for success of your low-code implementation. Well, if you just take a group of people, and it doesn't matter how brilliant they are, and if you just let them loose and you expect them to create something fantastic, it's probably not going to happen. So we need to have guiding principles, we need to have some accountability, and we need to put standards in place in order to achieve a good rate of success. So what are these principles, or what are these requirements? Well, one of the prerequisites is obviously having the understanding of how the business operates today, perhaps understanding what works and what doesn't, so that we can avoid the parts that do not yield good results. You also need some technical people. If all your guys are, for example, non-technical, it's going to be very difficult to build anything related to digital transformation. But nonetheless, the tools that we're going to provide are going to be so obvious that hopefully even the least technical person will be able to succeed. Now, let's talk about now whether or not everyone is a developer. A developer is a very loaded term, and depending on whom you ask, some people will say that the developer is someone who sits in a dark basement and writes some unknown cryptic code, and the others will say that the developer is someone who puts ideas together and chains them together. Well, I don't know what the definition of a developer is these days, but we can all agree that there is a coding developer, and perhaps now there is a term for non-coding developer. I mean, I'm still a developer. I'm taking pieces together and I'm putting them and I'm chaining them in one way or the other. And at the end, at the output of my program or at the output of my implementation, I am getting a final product that someone hopefully can benefit, and for whom I can make the life a little bit easier. So who are these developers? Well, we call them citizen developers. A citizen developer is the term that is widely now used in business, and it refers to people who are not professional developers. And a professional developer would be somebody who actually gets paid for developing applications. Those professional developers will use code like C# and JavaScript to create beautiful pages and very complicated logic, and that's what they do. But citizen developers, they're not interested in this stuff. Citizen developers are the ones who are most likely going to be using tools already created by someone else, and they're going to be combining them together, and they're going to be putting them together to link them to create a final unit of deliverable good. So these are my citizen developers. They're non-coding developers. Now the question might become, so do I do as a non-coding developer, do I do everything? Do I solve only a particular subset of problems? Well, there is really no answer here. I mean, the tools are evolving every day, and yesterday we had less tools than we have today. So maybe today there are some limitations in terms of low-code development, how the industry is progressing, but tomorrow the things might change. What is not going to change is your mindset. As soon as you put yourself in the mindset that, yes, I am a citizen developer, and instead of piecing together some cryptic commands on a very low-end programming language, we're now piecing a higher, more abstracted pieces together, and we're creating the same final product. So what is Creatio? Why do we care about Creatio? Why you should care about Creatio? Well, Creatio is a product that's been around for a number of years, over 20 years now. And Creatio is the platform. First and foremost, it's the platform where you can build your applications. Now, the applications that you can build usually business related. So you're not going to be building some physics engine or graphics engine, or you're not going to be building an operating system on our platform. But what you could be building is the interaction between the people. So you're bringing the social, you're bringing the interactivity, and you're bringing the digital into one platform. Now, the low code refers to the fact that we have a lot of tools already available in our system working cohesively to deliver kind of synergies between all these tools. And I will hopefully show that in a few minutes. So what's a Creatio University program? Why does it exist? Why do we need it? And how you can benefit from it? Well, the Creatio University program, the idea was basically created, or we've created this idea when we realized that there is quite a lot of interest in this low-code notion. There's a lot of people who would like to get into it, but they just don't know how. We see new graduates in business schools, in various programs, graduating from universities and then coming to work, and they have very little understanding of what the software is, how software operates, how you can build, and what kind of a mindset you have to be in order to successfully integrate yourself into a piece of software and eventually hopefully create your own pieces. So the Creatio University program is a hands-on experience with our low-code, excuse me, with our low-code platform. We offer classes, courses, materials, and things of that nature, and we cover topics that are relevant to what new graduates are expected to do, or the duties that they're expected to perform in the early stages of their career. So for example, application development or low-code application development. We'll talk about what an application is a little later. We are talking about things such as AI and machine learning. And AI and machine learning has reached a certain critical mass at this point that everyone's kind of trying to take advantage of the machine learning. Now, it's difficult, it's hard. There's a lot of math and stats involved in machine learning, and you really need to be PhD in that topic to write your own code. But if you take something that's already written, and by manipulating some parameters and by understanding the type of data that you have, and you do understand that because you are in business, you are trained to understand the data, you can actually have some very fantastic predictions. It's amazing what people with very little computer background can do with these tools. Now, we're also talking about CRM module. This is one of our core modules, and that has to do with the keeping track of your contacts, your accounts, how the sales are progressing, perhaps how you're addressing marketing. So if for example, somebody is studying in the marketing or in business again, let's take a BA degree and somebody's taking a marketing course. Well, it's important to understand these days how the digital world operates. If you don't know how to do, let's say, how to reach people, if you don't know how to do targeted ads to people, if you don't know how to market your product or service, you're probably dead in the water. So we're showing you some of the tools that we have available inside Creatio in order to do what you already know how to do. Now, we also have a little bit of a theoretical background when it gets to university course. Our flow diagram, and we call it business process diagram or case management diagram, it follows the BPMN 2.0 notation. The BPMN 2.0 notation, it's a notation, it's open source, it's maintained by a third-party organization, and it's a very detailed, very detailed, basically standard that people are trying to implement in their systems. And then at the end of this course, we are expecting the new not the graduates, but participants to be able to build a new business application. So something that didn't exist. Obviously, it's not going to be the latest and greatest thing, but we are expecting a certain level of familiarity with the product, and you can already build something that will benefit businesses. So this is what the university program is all about. So what do we cover? Where are we? And where basically, who knows about us? Well, we are currently in 8 countries. We are targeting at present 15 universities, not targeting, but we're actively working with 15 universities, 20 professors, and 1,000 students. That's what's currently in our enrolled program as of right now. So the numbers may not sound fantastic for the global reach, but it's certainly growing, and there is a huge interest, and we simply cannot push as many people as we would like due to lack of internal resources. So who is the program suitable for? Well, the program is suitable for pretty much anyone who is going to be graduating and looking for a job after they graduate. Computer science. Well, why would it be useful for computer science? Computer science folks learn hard skills, how to write very sophisticated sorting algorithms or random number generators, and it's all great, but that's not the mindset that they're going to have to be in once they look for a job upon graduation. You go to a real world and you're expected to deliver. You're expected to deliver new products, new features with a very rapid pace. So for computer science folks, it's a fantastic experience to see how the real world operates, where they can actually use their skills that they've acquired in universities, and how they can complement existing platforms with their skills. Once you find that marriage of software developer, business developer, the product that you're building is just amazing. Now, the business automation, let's say we're talking about some folks in the BA programs, that's right down their alley. They are talking about all these different theories and strategies and how you should be organizing businesses and what you should be doing there and what's the most efficient way of conducting an organization. Obviously, the whole business process automation is right down their alley because that's the core value that they're delivering once they graduate. Now, project management is another topic. In project management, it's very important to make sure that you're not dropping any steps. It's important that that all the interactions are correct. So project management is also an area where we see this low-code program kind of fitting the bill. Now, in terms of business process, robotic process automation, software application design, that's all that's kind of included in the platform. So what do we get? What's inside this university course? Well, inside the university course, you will get access to our platform. Obviously, it's going to be free of charge. You will be given licenses to teach and to participate while you're in training. You will be given all the course resources that we have proved to be successful over the course of our internal academy, actually. And you will get unlimited basically support from the vendor or from us. You will be given a specific person from inside on our end with whom you will be able to communicate, where you will be able to get some help if you're getting stuck. And we're doing all this so that you can build the course around our product. Now let's jump a little bit into a demo, and I just want to quickly show you what our product looks like. Let me switch my screen real quick. Okay, so this is what our product looks like. Let me close unnecessary tabs. And inside of our product, you log in, and this looks just any other single page application. In here, you've got Studio in general, and I've got the smallest footprint right now. And you can go into areas like contacts and accounts, and that's all great. But we have something more. We have a lot of designers that allow you to think critically to create your applications. So what do I mean by applications? Well, let's take a look at the business process library. We're going to create a new business process. So a new business process is a diagram that you draw in order to make things happen in a particular sequence. So once the business process loads, you have elements that you can execute, and they could be to perform tasks, ask user a particular question, open certain edit pages, or show your own pages, send emails, send something for approvals, etc., etc. And those are the user tasks. We expect these tasks to be accomplished with the user interactions. On the other hand, we also have system tasks that allow you to do things that are system related. For example, if I need to read data, if I need to calculate totals, if I need to delete something, if I need to calculate something or grant access permission, all those things are possible. You also have access to what's called a web service, so you can immediately tap into third-party integrations. Let's imagine that you're building an application that will take a contact and try to onboard them for a particular loan management that you have within your organization. Well, if you want to do a loan, you probably want a credit score. So use the web service to ask the credit providers to tell what the particular score is. We have easy access to predict data, and this is how we start our machine learning and our artificial intelligence model. All we have to do is we have to train it on our internal data and then simply consume the benefits that AI provides. Now, the script task and the user task are the elements where software developer will benefit the most. They will be able to write their own. Code by simply inputting it into this window. Now, at this point, we support a full range of IDE. You can use Visual Studio, you can use Writer, you can use many other programs, but the idea of writing the code is not to write the whole program from start to finish, but to create a little component that you will be able to utilize within this business process. Now, the best result you will achieve is when you've got a software developer guys creating custom integrations, for example, with this element, and then the business people who can utilize and leverage this new tool that we have created. For example, I have created for myself a foreign exchange element. This element allows me to tap into whatever bank I want and query for foreign exchange rates for a particular date. Now, this element didn't exist before, and I've created it all by myself, and it really doesn't take all that much time. But now all my business analysts, all my business folks can utilize this element to simply ask for foreign exchange by providing certain input parameters and expecting something on the output. We're asking for input text and output text, and that's example for a different discussion. Now, once you create an element, the next thing that you want to do is you want to perhaps connect it with the following elements. So let's say we want to read some data. Well, it's fairly easy for us to do. We just go to read data, and we're going to say that we're going to read the data. We drop it here. We name it read data. After the data has been read, and we can define how the data needs to be read, we specify where we're reading it from. Let's say we're going to read all contacts that exist in the system, and then we're going to filter the contacts by particular properties. We can basically teach here how the SQL works, how the relational databases work, how the data mapping works within any application, not just ours. Once the data is read, perhaps I want to do something. I want to send something for approval, or I want to update, or I want to send an email. That's all possible just by using the following elements here. Let's just take one. For example, I want to send something for approval. And I can now use this element, and you could see that you've got these arrows. If, for example, the data that I've read needs to be evaluated, and if the data that I've read does not meet certain requirements, then I can start expressing ors and ands and things of that nature. So you've got an or element, just drop it on the line. And here in the properties, you can teach about parallel ands, ors, exclusive, inclusive gateways. Now you can express these conditions. So for example, just by dragging the arrow this way, and then after this element, perhaps if the data that we've read doesn't fit my requirements, I want to do something else. I want to update maybe that content that I have read. So I will do something like this. In the condition itself, we can write formulas and we can express what is it that needs to happen in order for us to activate this flow. So these business processes, they do exactly what you do on paper, exactly what you do when you're designing how your entity operates. You sit there, you design the process, but what we're asking you to do is to put a little bit more effort into actually specifying by fitting in parameters how these elements need to work. If you don't find the element, well, develop your own. And if you find the elements, then great, not much for you to do. But this is not all. This is not all we can do. This is one of the very strong points that we offer within our product, but this is not the only one. What about data storage? For example, I'm going to jump real quick into a contact card. So a contact card is where we expect to store all of our contacts, and this is a demo model, so we don't have much data here. So for example, I've got an Andrew Baker here. Let's open the card. And what I would really want to do is I want to build some sort of an application that will help me with, let's say, loan or mortgages. Perhaps I am in finance and I'm teaching about mortgage depreciation. So how would I do that? Well, I need probably some fields to record extra information. If I want that, all I have to do is click on the view, go open section wizard, and navigate to yet another wizard for us to configure what the data looks like. Now, at this point, once the system loads, you will see that everything on here is very visual, and I can just simply drag new values. There are all typed values. I can give it a name, a code. I can specify what kind of a data type it is. It could be text. It could be unlimited length text. There are many options. It could be Booleans, integers, etc. And I simply save. Once I save and exit the section wizard, this string one field is now available for me for consumption in all my business processes in my database. I have modified the schema of my database, modified all my tables, and my application is I can start on elaborating on my application. So this is what our platform offers. It's all pure drag and drop. And if you want to go deeper, you can go much deeper and you can write your own code. You can provide your own implementation of very complex algorithms. But if you don't have to, if you don't want to, you don't have to do that. So let's go back to some of the further slides and further presentation that I wanted to make. So give me 1 second. And what I wanted to talk is how do we become a university program member? So in order for you to become a university program member, you just simply submit a form. It's as easy as that. It's a simple form with a couple of questions about you, about yourself, about the school that you're going to be offering it in, and that's about it. You then consult with a Creatio Academy trainer, and I am one of the trainers, and we have quite a few trainers who are able to consult. My personal background is from University of York, and I am a CPA for the past 15 years. So I can help you build a program because I've been there. I know what it is to be through a good class and what it is to be through a less enjoyable class. So we can build a very nice program for you to target exactly the audience that you're targeting in your school. We're expecting that you can learn creation 2 to 3 hours. Well, maybe it's a little bit aggressive. You can certainly learn a few things in 2 to 3 hours, but it might take you a little bit longer to actually fully grasp the capabilities, but you don't need them all at once. You don't need them all in the beginning. You can start off with something very small by drawing those diagrams, by adding fields to an existing cards or adding fields to existing pages and trying to build these applications together. And then once you learn a thing or two about the product, then we expect you to become a certified member. And the certification simply means that you know what you're talking about. So we don't want you to teach our product, or we don't want you to use our product in your program if you are not comfortable using it yourself. So the certificate is there for everyone's benefit to make sure that you as the professor or you as the educator are ready to teach people on this new platform. And obviously then you go and you teach your own class. You have full freedom how you teach your class, and you have full freedom how you design your course. In the last step here on teaching your class, we're offering you all the materials we have. We're offering you all the help and support we can give you, but we expect you to build your own class. Now, the class is best suited when you do it for 8 sessions. So if you do 8 classes basically, plus a midterm, plus maybe a final or a project with a presentation. So you're looking at anywhere 10 to 12 weeks or basically 1 semester, maybe a little bit less than a semester. You can definitely shrink it down to half a semester or offer it through summer school. So whatever the case might be, you can certainly build your own class. So this is all I wanted to talk to you about the presentation. I wanted to thank you now for listening to me for 40 minutes or so, and I'm ready to answer any questions that you might have. Now, let me see if I have any questions in the chat right now. 1 second, I need to open it. I need to log in. I apologize for that. Okay, so I see a first question, and the first question says, I am offering finance. How can I use it in my finance? Well, it's actually near and dear to me, and I wish something like this was offered to me when I was going through the paces in school. And in finance, it's fantastic. Imagine you're teaching audit, or imagine you're teaching anything, but audit is pretty good. And there are many things or many steps that you are teaching when you are conducting a professional audit. For example, you're doing your scope, you're doing your discoveries, you're doing your background work, you're communicating with the external sources, whatever the cases might be, and then you're actually doing your accounting part. So the accounting part stays the same, but how you orchestrate all the other processes around you, you can now automate in on this platform. So the student, when he or she graduates, they now understand what to do or how exactly to build this step. And even if you don't need to use it, it's a visual tool that will allow you to understand which steps need to follow. So I think personally, it will benefit anyone in finance. What is the most common error performed by a citizen developer? Okay, well, that's an interesting question. So what we're seeing here is that our platform allows you to put things together, but unfortunately, when you're putting things together, you need to organize yourself, and there are areas that perhaps you're not even thinking about, how you're going to name your flows, how you're going to name your tables or fields, things of that nature. So people who are coming from business school, they may not think it through, not because they're not capable of it, just because they haven't been trained to do that. So they're going to start jumping into a solution right away. They see a problem, they go and they look for a solution, and that's great. But once the project grows a little bit larger, it will not be beneficial. So you really need to sit down, take a step back, think your way through, and then start building. So the thinking part, the part where you put pieces together, the architectural, the very beginning, the early stages of your implementation, nobody cancels that. That still is with you. But then you just simply use a low-code system to piece things together. That part is easy. But the thinking part, the creative part, that's still on you. What's the most common process that can be done with low-code automation? Well, low-code automation allows you to automate anything, essentially. There is no limit to what you can automate. Most commonly, these are integrations. It is very often to find ourselves in a position where you go into a workplace and you have a gazillion of different systems. One is going to be keeping track of the warehouse stock. One is going to be keeping track of something in accounting. One is going to be for HR. One is going to be for manufacturing. One for order to, et cetera, et cetera. So you've got all these different systems and they all perform great for what they were meant to do. But there is nothing in the middle that sits and controls everything. So what we're trying to do and what we're really good at is to sit right in the middle and control all the other systems. So that means that we need to be able to integrate into all these systems. And this is the most common case where people are dropping our system right dead center between all the other ones within the organizations, and they're configuring integration. So when you're going into your new application on the Creatio platform, let's say a contact card, you are able to pull AR stuff. You are able to pull, let's say, previous order history. You are able to take a look at the current order and the backlog and things of that nature when you want to take the order. So we're basically a conduit, a bus that sits in the middle and communicates to all the other system. To a user who's using our product, it's all nice and easy because all the information that they need to make a decision, and they make a lot of decisions, it's all there at your fingertips. What are my opinion on the factors that should be in place to ensure digital transformation? Well, the most important one is probably commitment, and the commitment needs to be on all levels of the organization, school, department, whatever the case might be. If you're just taking this tool and you're trying something and it doesn't work and you drop it, then you're not going to achieve great results. So the commitment in this case is not just using the tool, but commitment here starts from analyzing your existing business processes, or figuring out that you don't have any business processes, you don't have succession planning, you don't know what to do in a particular case or instance when it arises. So you say, well, we'll deal with that when it comes. Well, when it comes, you don't know how to deal with that. Or maybe at the time when it comes, you have a very junior staff who needs to deal with that. That's not really good business. You want to diversify your risks. So what I am arguing is that you need to plan basically for your successful digital transformation. You need to start from the very beginning. You need to identify the lowest hanging fruit, and then you start with that, and then you build on that. But you definitely need to start with planning. Okay, so I'm not getting any more questions, so hopefully I was able to answer some of them. And I invite you to contact us, to subscribe, to come visit and give it a try. Our product is available for a free trial. Just give it a try, see what you think of it. And I am looking forward to speaking with you guys again when you actually choose to participate in the university program. Thank you.